Group D is going to be crazy. We've got the Netherlands, Austria, France, and Poland. As I've already said before, I am from the Netherlands, so I will try to remain unbiased, but I care more about this than anything else in sports. The Dutch football team, I would take a World Cup championship over any other sporting event, winning anything else. That's the most important thing. Love this team. But let's get into this group. Let's break it down. Let's preview each of these teams. Let's look at their path to the Euros, preview some of the squads, look at the range of outcomes, and get some ideas for some bets maybe along the way. All of our videos can be found on Ready Bet Action on YouTube, or listen to them on your favorite podcast. We're doing a giveaway. If you go over and jump on the main video for the betting preview for the Euros, subscribe, like, comment, you could win a jersey of your choosing for any Euro team once we get to 1,000 likes. Let's look at the numbers here and see kind of what to expect here. You can see that France is expected to win the group, followed by Netherlands, Austria, and Poland. Again, this is interesting and valuable, not only if you're wanting to bet on these games, but also just to kind of get an idea of what we could expect to see happen. You can see that France is a plus 340 to win the whole competition, which puts that as the second highest favorite to win the competition behind only England. The Netherlands are kind of expected to maybe make it to the quarterfinals, not much past that. Austria and Poland will be happy, it looks like, according to these numbers, to just make it out of the group. But let's see what we think once we dive into this, what we agree with, what we don't. Let's start with my homeland, the Netherlands, the beautiful orange Oranje. In the last Euros, in Euro 2020, we lost in the round of 16 to Czechia after a terrible bullshit red card against Matthias de Ligt. I'm still mad about it. But the Netherlands have kind of struggled at the Euros. Well, we've done great recently at times in the World Cup, making it to some semifinals and finals. The Euros have kind of been a struggle. We have not advanced beyond the quarterfinals since 2004. And that was when, like, we advanced beyond the quarterfinals. You just had to get, like, out of the group and you were already in the quarterfinals. In 2016, the Netherlands didn't qualify. And in 2012, the Netherlands were grouped, didn't even get it out. We did win the whole thing back in 1988. Ronald Koeman, who was our coach, was one of our players. The Dutch were in the same group, in Group B. They were runners-up, and they lost it to France, who they played twice and lost to twice. The first game was 4-0. Now, the Dutch had a ton of injuries that day. And then the other one was a 2-1, but that scoreline was actually a little bit flattering to the Dutch. It could have been 3-1, 4-1 type of a thing. They took care of business in the other games, but it often wasn't pretty. I had watched every Netherlands match since 2006, basically since games were on the internet or on TV. I've watched every single one. And this team has the potential to be special. I think they're about 2 years away. I think the World Cup is where they're really going to shine. You have some strikers, some midfielders, and we already have a solid defense, but we've got some youngsters that are coming up. That my biggest fear is that Koeman just isn't going to play them in this tournament. He's been talking about playing guys like Wijnaldum, who's been playing in Saudi Arabia and is also a little bit old. There's a reason he left Liverpool instead of some of this young talent. So, Koeman's a guy who is very frustrating. He has helped us qualify, but most Dutch fans are not thrilled with the job that Koeman has done. Let's look at some of the players on this team. Bart Verbrugge is the starting goalkeeper. He is in rotation at Brighton. He's not their starter. He did start a few games, but the Netherlands are going for him. And to me, this is one of their weak links. I think he has potential, but I don't think he's quite ready yet. Maybe he surprises me. I think he's going to have to if the Netherlands are going to go on a run. You look at the defense, still not sure if we're going to be doing a 5-3-2 with Frimpong or Dumfries playing kind of in that wing-back position. or what we did against Canada was a 4-3-3. But Virgil van Dijk, Thijs de Ligt are going to anchor that. Again, Denzel Dumfries or Jeremy Frimpong at the right back position. Although Frimpong did play right wing, they tried him out there in their recent friendly. I love these guys. Gertruda for Feyenoord was absolutely amazing. I think Denzel Dumfries doesn't get the respect he deserves. I think he is such an incredible player. He proves it time and time again for Inter Milan and the Dutch. In the World Cup, he had that great match against the U.S. But I say all that, I still kind of want Frimpong to play ahead of him. So again, a team that has a lot of options. Mickey Van de Ven, a player who was clocked as the fastest player in the Premier League, and he's a defender for Tottenham. So a lot to choose from there. The midfield is interesting because Frankie de Jong, who's like a staple back or staple midfielder for us, is coming off an injury. He hopes to be ready for the first game against Poland, but we're not 100% sure if that's going to happen. Wijnaldum, as I mentioned, I don't think is at the quality that he needs to be for this competition, yet it looks like he's going to start. Or guys like Tone Koopmeiners for Atalanta. Again, we talked about Atalanta when we talked about the Italians, Scamacca. They're such a good squad, and Koopmeiners was part of the reason for that. He's one of the best attacking midfielders in Italy right now that not very many people talk about. So is Xavi Simons for the German Bundesliga. He had a great season at RB Leipzig after playing for PSV. An up-and-coming superstar who, if given the opportunity, I think would really be a leader in terms of production for this Dutch team. But I'm still not 100% sure that he's going to get the minutes that he deserves because Koeman sees him more as an attacker and doesn't want to place him in the midfield where he typically plays a central attacking midfield position. And I just don't think we're going to get to see that. Reinders for AC Milan was absolutely terrific this year. He's scored some beauties for the Netherlands as well. Gerdie Schouten might get some playing time if De Jong is out with injuries. But this attack is where a lot of people wonder where the goals are going to come from. Wout Weghorst probably shouldn't be at the quality of the Netherlands wants to have at striker, but he's not going to be starting. Memphis Depay is currently fit, and he is on the move this summer. He is not going to be signing with Atletico Madrid. I think he really wants to have a good tournament to get himself another contract. He is going to be put in position to do just that. Cody Gakpo will be starting as well. Brian Brobbey is a name to keep an eye on. I don't think he'll be starting right off the bat, but if he does, if they play Depay and Brobbey up front, he is an exciting player for Ajax, a big, strong, fast attacker who can both absorb the pressure, he can distribute, he can turn and play with his back to the goal, but he can also make great runs. And Daniel Malen had a great season with Borussia Dortmund. He scored some really fantastic goals for them. I love this Dutch team. What can I say? To me, the question is, what does Koeman decide to do? How does he decide to play with this squad? There's so much talent here. I'm afraid he might make a couple of the wrong decisions, which would lead to some disappointment. I think anything outside of getting to the round of 16 would be a disappointment. I think we need to get to the quarterfinals or it's a huge failure with the talent that we have. I mean, our defense, the guys I mentioned, like Mickey Van de Ven was playing left back the other day and looked fantastic. You have him and Dumfries on the wing or Frimpong, De Ligt and Van Dijk, De Vrij, Mickey Van de Ven. However you want to rotate this team should be a quarterfinal team. That would be a realistic outcome. Best case scenario, man, if we could make the semis or even the finals, that would be incredible. Again, I think the Netherlands are 2 years away, so that might not be in the cards just yet, but a good experience for a lot of these guys. And again, I think quarterfinals is what we should be expecting. Let's talk about Austria next. Austria are a really interesting, fun team. In 2020, they lost in the round of 16 to Italy. They were runner-up in their group, going 6-1-1, losing once to Belgium, drawing Belgium once. Belgium was the group winner. Austria averaged 2.125 goals a game. They gave up 0.875. What I'm excited about seeing with this Austria team, I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous about this Austria team as a Netherlands fan. I think they could have a really interesting, fun tournament. Their coach, Ralph Rangnick, became the manager in June of 2020. He had previously been at Manchester United, and before that, kind of built up the whole Red Bull, Leipzig, Red Bull Salzburg. He's known for gegenpressing, which is a high press, putting a lot of pressure right at the point of it, like on the defenders, and if they lose the ball, trying to get it and go. You'll see it so much. And in fact, the Netherlands really, really struggle up against that. So I think that Austria-Netherlands game will be fascinating. But he has brought in a lot of that Red Bull influence. I think kind of runs this like a German soccer club. And you'll see that in how they play, in their tactics, even how he builds the club. What's interesting is he was always known as like a developmental coach, someone who would bring players along. On a national team, you don't quite get to do that because you're not seeing these players day in and day out. So I'm very curious to see how it all plays out in the long run. A couple of bummers for Austria. They're going to be without their captain Alaba. He's been out most of the year for Real Madrid. He will not be back. And then Zaberschlager is a real disappointing loss for them. He's kind of the engine in the midfield, and I think they'll miss him. But they do have a lot of quality. You look at their defense. Danso, who plays for Lens, is very, very, very good. He's a strong defensive back. Not defensive back, I'm talking NFL now, college football. He's a strong center back, and I think he'll really be able to hold his own there. Where you see a lot of really fun names is these Bundesliga names in the midfield, especially, where you got guys like Sabitzer, who was phenomenal for Dortmund in qualifying, or not in qualifying. He was a top scorer for Austrian qualifying, but for Dortmund, he helped lead them in the Champions League finals. Baumgartner, I think, is a player to keep an eye on who plays at Leipzig. He had, again, I told you, I watched a lot of Leipzig because that's where Xavi Simons plays. Eivold also plays there. This midfield could be very fun. Konrad Leimer for Bayern Munich. We've seen his game develop so much in such a short amount of time. Very interesting. My question really is, who's going to score the goals for Austria? Marko Arnautovic is getting up there. He doesn't really start all that regularly for Inter Milan. Can he still do it? When looking at Austria, I think the best case scenario would be runner-up in the group. Like I said, I could see them giving the Netherlands a scare. I could see them putting up a fight against France and then just outright beating Poland. So runner-up, maybe pushing for the group, definitely in the range of outcomes, and making a push for the quarterfinals. Maybe they can get there. I think what's likely is that they end up second or third in the group. They advance and probably bail out in the round of 16. I think worst case scenario is if they're not only like grouped, like if they are third or fourth place and don't advance, would be terrible. I don't see anything worse than that happening. I don't see them not getting any points or anything like that. Austria is a quality squad, but they do have to play France. France is my pick to win the whole thing. I'll just go ahead and tell you that right now. France could field 3 teams and still they'd probably get first, second, and fifth, like they're that good, they're that deep. Not only do they have the quality, they've got the quantity of players almost throughout, position by position. So deep. It's so crazy, and it's almost unfair. They just bring a different level of skill, and it's fun to watch if you don't have to play them. Unfortunately, the Netherlands were in France's qualifying group, and they beat France twice. Their only blemish was a 2-2 draw against Greece, but they didn't have a whole lot to play for. They had just beaten Gibraltar 14-0 a couple days earlier. Again, this was not the easiest group. The Netherlands were in it. Greece can be tough, but they took care of business. They did not lose anything. Their leading score was Kylian Mbappe with 9 goals. They averaged 3.625 goals a game and only gave up 0.375. Lots and lots of shutouts. They only gave up goals in 2 games, against the Netherlands and against Greece. Of course, in the World Cup, they lost in the finals to Argentina. In the Euros in 2020, They lost in the round of 16 to Switzerland in penalties in a huge upset. So people are kind of wondering, like, it's been a little while since France delivered. What should we expect? It's going to be interesting to see. I think they can do it. Let's look at their squad. Jan, the goalie for AC Milan, will be between the sticks, and he is incredible. I think William Saliba is one of the best defenders in the entire world. Definitely the best defender in the Premier League for Arsenal. He is just stellar. I'm curious to see who they line up next to him because it's kind of up in the air. But no matter who it's going to be a good choice because they're good options to choose from. Could it be Konate or Kunde? I think Mendy starts on the wing. It'll be fun to see. Where I get just absolutely with France is their depth in the midfield. Guys like Rabiot and Camavinga. Griezmann for Atletico Madrid remains one of the most underrated players to me. He is so skillful. He has such great vision. Incredible to watch Griezmann play. N'Golo Kante joins France again. He's been playing in Saudi Arabia. I'll be curious to see what he can provide. And then you look at these forwards that they bring. I mean, Diaby from Aston Villa didn't even make the squad. That's how crazy this is. But you've got Mbappe, of course, and Barcola, Dembele, who are very fun. Kingsley Coman continues to have great. This continues to play great for Bayern Munich. I really like him. It'll be interesting to see what kind of minutes he gets. And then Marcus Thuram for Inter. It'll be interesting to see if he plays central and they put Mbappe on the wing or what they end up going with. Warren Zaire Emery back in the midfield is one of the youngsters to keep an eye on. He's been super fun this year when given the opportunity to play. And another guy that if you play EAFC, you definitely know who he is. Best case scenario for this French team is them winning it all. I definitely see that as a possibility. In fact, that's what I think is going to happen. I think if they make it to the semis, people in France won't be thrilled, but they won't be disappointed. You know, like you can get bounced on a bad day. Anything less than that, though, if they get outed in the quarterfinals, I think people will be pretty devastated. This France team really should be one of the final four teams, and I expect them to be. Just an incredible team. They are so much fun to watch. Again, frustrating when you're playing against them, like the Dutch have had to do way too many times, and it always goes bad for us. Let's talk about Poland. They are lucky to be here. They got into the Euros after being third in a group with Albania, Czechia, Moldova, and the Faroe Islands. So not a great group, and they were third. They beat Estonia 5-1 in the playoffs. In the first game and the second game, they beat Wales in penalties. Only averaged 1.25 goals a game for and against. It's really not looking all that great for Poland right now. The problem is this is the same team they've had for a long time, a lot of the same players, and they've underperformed in so many tournaments. In Euro 2020, they bailed out in the group phase, and it's just always not quite enough. And now they're all just a little bit older. Lewandowski's on the wrong side of 30 for a soccer player. So just kind of difficult to see any sort of hope or expectation. But they do still have some quality names. Szczesny, of course, Juventus goalie, long-time Poland goalie. You know he can step up if called upon. Kiwi Orr, when given the opportunity to play at Arsenal, I thought played really, really well. He ended up kind of stealing the left back position for a while for the Gunners and did a great job when called upon. So it'd be fun to see him in that role with Poland. Moving up again, you've got Robert Lewandowski and then a bunch of other guys who some of you have definitely heard of. Most of you, like me, don't know much about Bogdan Szczesny. So here we are. Lewandowski had a really rough start to his year with Barcelona, but this last few months since the break, really, since January, he's been playing really, really well. I expect Lewandowski. I don't think he's going to bring Poland to greatness, but I expect to see his name on the score sheet a couple of times. His Later still got it. Can Szczesny steal a win? I think the worst case scenario for Poland would be 0 points. I think it's in the range of outcomes. I think the expectation is maybe a point or two. Realistically, best case scenario would be like finishing third and somehow sneaking into the round of 16. Maybe you sneak a draw past the Netherlands in the first game because they're looking past you to that France matchup, and then you're able to beat Austria. Who knows? Not betting on it. What I am betting on, though, we can see as we look at this table. Let's look at that first game, Poland-Netherlands, taking place on Father's Day. Thank you very much. Netherlands expected to win at minus 155, meaning it's a playable bet. You might want to add a little bit to it, but I do like that. Austria, France heavy favorites. Austria favored against Poland, and France a slight favorite against the Netherlands. And I actually want to talk about that. I actually looked recently, yesterday, and you can get France on the money line at minus 110 versus the Netherlands. France has played the Netherlands numerous times between the Nations League and the qualifying campaign, like I mentioned. And France continues to win every game. I have bet against my team every time, and I continue to make money. So we're going to do it again. I hate doing it. I hate betting against my team. But here we are. Netherlands versus France. We're going to take France on the money line. Against Austria, I want to take France to win and score over 1.5 goals. I think they're going to put in a lot against Austria. I think Austria might get 1 or 2 as well, but I think France scores a bunch in that one. In the Netherlands versus Poland game, that first game on Father's Day, I'm going to take the highest scoring half to be the second half. There's a few things that go into this. One is we've seen in the World Cup and the Euros these extended 7, 8, 9 extra minutes in the end of the game. So that's an extra like 10% of the game that you're getting at the end. Just bonus time for a goal. So that's one reason why. But also the Netherlands, I think you're going to start a little slow deliberately and just kind of feel out Poland to see where the weaknesses are before they put the attack. Lately, they have not been scoring near as much in the first half as the second half. So I just think this is a good, safe bet. And at pretty much even money, I think it hits. For the Netherlands, I also want to bet for them to reach the quarterfinal. This is similar to that Italy bet that we talked about where it gets a little bit confusing. But both the winner and runner-up play runner-ups. So the runner-up of Group D is guaranteed to not have to play any group winner. So they would likely have to play, both the winner and runner-up would play one of the next 6 teams: Ukraine, Slovakia, Romania, Turkey, Czechia, or Georgia. I think the Netherlands are favored in all of those games. So if the Netherlands advance in either first or second place, I love their chances to reach the quarterfinals, and we get that at plus 135. My final bet for Group D, by the way, I have some hidden bets in the final version of this. If you listen to the betting guide, or if you listen to the full episode, we get some extra bets at the end. So you're going to want to tune into that. My final bet for Group D, though, we're going to take the top goal scorer for Poland to be Lewandowski. He led them in qualifying. I think he might only score 1 goal, and that might be enough to get this. Because I don't think Poland's scoring much, and what they do score will be because of him, maybe a spot kick or something like that. This is my projected finish for the group. We're going to go France with 9 points, Netherlands with 6, Austria with 3, and Poland getting pooped out with 0 points. Nothing good happening. Again, this was our Group D analysis. We're going to jump into Group E right now, unless you're only watching this short video, and I want to tell you, jump onto our other videos and listen to us there.